Well, uh, I well, I think it's important. Sorry, I lost us here. Are you still there? Let's see.
Yeah.
Zoom. Here we go. Sorry. Well, I think it's important that we learn more about Iran and help to educate our members about the long history of Iran and some of the more recent history. But more than that, I think it's very important that we show solidarity with those in this country that want peace with Iran and those in Iran who are struggling, who've been struggling for decades for peace and recognition of human and civil rights. And so how we might do this with a smaller or a larger delegation is something I thought I'd like to know more about. Actually, about 8 years ago, my husband and I did go to Iran on a global exchange tour and spent 3 weeks there. And I feel that if I were to join something this time, it would increase my understanding and but also if there were various kinds of meetings or events or hospitalities, collaborations that there was joint attendance at, that would be a wonderful accomplishment.
Well, has the delegation been planned so far?
Is this a discussion, McGregor, of
the first day? It's the first day.
How to make this some kind of reality.
Right.
Well, it is a reality in that 2 WILF members have already made a trip to Iran with Ellie and Adelia, who are both here, to do explorations on establishing women's international peace and freedom in Iran.
Wonderful.
With great response. More than 100 Iranian women interested, and development, and that process was interrupted by war. So they are there now doing their best to continue this dream.
Oh, wonderful. I didn't know that. Thank you.
Not many people do. That's what Ellie, me, and Adelia are trying to do, is be a bridge.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you.
So
yeah,
I'm going to let Ellie speak in a second. The purpose of this is to make it possible, because it takes a while to get a visa. And even if you're thinking about it, for instance, I don't know if I'm going to be able to go in 2 months, but I'm going to fill out my visa application now, because otherwise there will be no possibility. It is slow. It is a country at war. So even if you're thinking, oh, I might, fill it out now, and then you'll have choices in a couple months. If you don't do that, you will not have the choices. That's what we wanted to send out. And you, having been there, you know other people that are thinking. So it will spread through the consciousness of the peace movement that it is possible, and Ellie can help. Now for Ellie, how to do it.
Yeah, so we have the framework in place since our delegation of 5 went there last year. I met somebody called Dariush Sajjadi, who used to work for the State Department. He's a prominent journalist in Iran. Everybody knows him. And he's been in the US for 20 years. So he understands the gaps between the people in diaspora who are not for the overthrow, and we are not. And, but, they're intellectuals, seculars, whatever. They still want to support their country. So with his contacts in the State Department, we were able to get planning done for the trip. in a kind of a loose format, because up until the last week, we didn't have all of our appointments. They had to change it from day to day. You cannot, especially now, even worse, like 2 months in advance, they're not going to tell you where Mr. Qalibov going to be on October 10th at 10 a.m. They can't identify location. So it's going to have to be loose, but there's so much. Like this time I told Nuri there's absolutely no way you're going to be meeting any government officials, but they're probably all in shelters. But in Isfahan, she met with the mayor of Isfahan, and right now they're in Minab, which is the girls' school that got bombed, and Qish. Then they're going back to Tehran. They're going to meet with the deputy foreign minister to talk about this delegation and the requirements and whatnot. But the process is kind of lengthy. First of all, I told McGregor they need your copy of your passport that goes directly to Iran, to the security people. They need to check that you're not Mossad, you're not FBI, CIA. So after we get the okay from them, then we go proceed with the application. It's not a user-friendly site, as I've seen with Nicaragua, Iran, FBI for fingerprinting. You know, it's hit or miss. But I can assist with that. It's like 5 pages, and they ask your father's name and your address and this and that. The picture has to be certain pixels. I had to try a few times until it went through, and I can assist with that. And that takes maybe another 6 weeks. Then you get your visa. And the trick is to apply for visa for like 3 or 4 months, because we don't know when this trip happens. Coordination among the people is difficult. We don't know who has free time when. Like, I couldn't stay 6 weeks. Ideally, I couldn't stay 6 weeks. We could only do 2 weeks. So they planned it in a way that the meetings in Tehran and Isfahan overlaps with me and Adelia being there. And then afterwards, Nuri and Alan had a different agenda. It was sightseeing, going to Shiraz, historic sites, some other things. But while Adelia and I were there, and with Alan and Nuri and Sajidi, we had 4 meetings a day. We would leave at 8 a.m., come back at 10 p.m.
Oh my
And
God.
yeah, it was exhausting. My
Yeah.
legs were like melons at the end of the
Yeah.
day, let alone Nuri and Alan. So, and they took us to universities. Our focus was women's education, because we came across this World Economic Forum report that since 2006 to 2005 ranked Iran in gender equality 143 out of 147. And we lived outside for a long time. We said we should go and check this out. Is this real? Let's go. So we went, and they took us to a lot of universities, laboratories, mainly meetings with women. And we found out that 60% of the college graduates are women. There's a lot of entrepreneurs, single moms, so on and so forth. And we got a lot of information about things that the evil Islamic Republic has been doing, namely creating 2 million apartment units at 1/6 of the market price. And they even
Wow.
told me that I qualify as a single woman, head of my family. I qualify, so I may be looking into that. Things like that.
Yeah.
So for the next trip, I mean, this trip, like I said, it's a little bit playing it by the ear, who's available, what is happening at the time. But very sad, it is well connected. And he'll have a productive trip. And I've already sent our first conversations with McGregor to one of the MPs who was part of our WhatsApp group and the anchor on Press TV. So they know that this is happening. And Nuri is in Iran, and we're working on getting a delegation going to Iran. So, I mean, Adelia can give you more of her opinion as a foreigner in Iran, because I'm biased. What can I say? No, Adelia, can you talk?
A little bit, yes. Well, the experience, people were open to talk. We mainly talked to women. We interview a few men too. But we visited universities, quite a few, and most of the girls we talked to seemed, happy about being studying, and nobody ever referred to any problem with, dressing codes. And we could see in the streets or in different, in like restaurants, people, were not very strict about holding the veil. And for the most people, we're just normal talking about issues they cared, laughing, and interested to make questions. Like what we understood by feminism, what was our position about disarmament. Of course, that was being threatened. That was a major topic for some of them. They were very clear and very proud that that's a country where so many women study and graduate. And that was a very, very important point, that they are aware that more than about 70% of graduates from universities are women. Some men we talk to say, well, they may not be or show too much as political leaders, but they are in everywhere in the world of technology, business management, science. And we could see, because we also visited some like a research, agricultural, agro-industrial research institutions, of which some of the, head of departments were women. And they were doing their normal life. I mean, wearing their dresses as they dress, like here in the West, women go with tall heels, and they don't, nobody question, they just go on with their lives. So, it wasn't an issue. They were just, showing what they do, and, the importance of the research, agriculture in areas of deserts. That's very interesting, and, testing different seeds and cultivating certain seeds. So it was interesting to see all the installations and how women were very keen in leading those processes. Um, yeah, what can I say? We also were visiting some museums. There were many girls with, small young girls with their uniforms, and so younger girls don't wear long dresses, just normal skirts. Very happy, very curious, asking questions, wanting to practice their English, like in many countries people does. Um, seeing all those many girls and happy and curious, made me remind of them when the incident in Minab where more than 160 kids were killed. I just kept remembering those little girls in the museum, so curious and, interested in things. Yeah, it's very clear people are very, into studying and making their country big, and, and knowing they are being attacked and isolated, and, the world that don't understand them, and wanted to be heard. That was my impression, asking questions, being curious, normal. Yes.
And when were you there?
It was November 2024. Of course, everybody was kind and very, willing to offer their meals and to share beautiful food in their homes. Yeah.
Thank you, Adelia.
You're welcome.
I want Ellie to talk about, you see, we send people and we'll come back and speak to as many as we can, but tell us about Max Blumenthal and how it changed his reporting. We want to take some reporters with us if we can. So, Ellie.
Yes, this is something that Doris Sajodi did before we met him. That, like I say, this whole, our effort, Nuri and I and Alan and Adelia's effort was parallel with Doris Sajodi was doing. So when we met, we were on the same line that people need to go to Iran, see it with their own eyes and come back and report. So he had approached some people, but was not connected, like Tucker Carlson or Amy Goodman. Like, he couldn't get those people, but got this guy, Max Blumenthal, who is Jewish, and arranged for him to go to Iran for this tour of, I don't know, a month or how long it was. And he went there and then came back and reported on it. And he was talking, at times it was a guided tour, at times it was on my own doing whatever I want. And he went to Isfahan, which is the big community of Jewish people, went to their temples, interviewed them, asked them about Israel, like, you're Jewish, how do you feel about that? And of course they said, run of the mill, but he says, I'm sure in private some of them are pro-Israel, but they don't chant it out. So, I mean, he made up his own opinion and came back with a positive attitude about Iran. And every time you see him on interviews, which I've seen with George Galloway or the Young Turks or whatever, he's always defending Iran. I mean, not demonizing Iran and not defending. He portrays what he saw in Iran. So, and Adelia herself, maybe before going, or Alan, before going, they had no idea what Iran was. And now they're maybe 75% positive. Adelia, I don't know, what can I say? I mean, we all have our issues, but the idea is you don't throw the baby out with the water. That's the idea. And
Could you say, what is the official reason why we should hate Iran? Why?
I'm just making kind of sarcastic comment that, mass media portrays Iran as this evil. Like, Iran is under attack. I don't see too many protests against attack like it's going on for Palestine or Lebanon. Nothing's happening. McGregor is the only one I see that comes out, talks about peace about Iran. It's not widespread. So they do have a tainted reputation.
And why? What is it? What have they done?
Because they got cut off from the world with the sanctions. And at some point they decided they just don't want to deal with the world. They just went about their own business, which is their shortcoming, but made them grow in ways that nobody imagined. They became independent. They started producing, I don't want to say the arms, but when I was there 15 years ago, I looked at the statistics from the National Bank of Iran. They export MRI machines, elevators, cars made in Iran to the Gulf states. So they started, bettering themselves because they didn't have a choice. And at some point they decided that they just don't want to deal with like when we were in Iran and afterwards, we had 160 people sign up for our group, ladies, 90 active in 3 WhatsApp groups. And we had subgroups. In one subgroup, we were studying Orientalism by Edward Said. Another subgroup was studying human rights violations by the UN for women. And we went through point by point. And we had a very religious girl on board. So she was giving me her responses, like child marriage or situation of women in prisons. I would discuss some I accept and some I don't. I mean, respectful to her opinion. And we made our responses and sent it to this UN group. But the official Iranian response was, this is not worth our response. So they just dropped it. Yeah, they were like, okay, we're not going to waste our time with this. But we wrote our responses, like the fact that prisons are built for men. They don't reflect women's needs. And in Iran, mothers with babies, they let the baby stay with the mother in prison, which means there's not enough sunlight, there's not daycare, other babies to meet, playground, all that. So these things, we pointed out to the MP that these are things you should look at. You're a woman, this is a women's issue, it's not a political thing, it's an oversight. You need to step in. So that was very useful. Yeah, so to answer your question, Robin, they at some point they just gave up. They told me when we were meeting with the MPs, the 9 female MPs, they told me that Iran was just fired from the women's rights, the commission of UN, and they were all embarrassed. Well, like looking down, they didn't like it, but it was just not worth the effort. So that was their mistake. But I can understand how much energy do you put in with your adversary instead of putting it into your own business of betterment.
See, Robin, I really appreciate your question because I see the peace delegation as just a focal point for a larger program of what you were talking about, increasing friendship and understanding the art, the poetry, the history. I want to watch movies. I love Iranian movies, and I'm on a board.
Yeah, you get time for that too. You're going to have sightseeing, the good food.
What I meant to do here while we're organizing the trip, because only a few people can go, but we can spread the understanding and help reverse some of the really common misconceptions. It's going to be slow and patient, but it's the only thing that will make a difference. And when Nuri and I were able to talk, it was amazing. I stepped out of a conference on a break. She rang, and it was her. We couldn't believe it. It's never been able to happen again, but she was able to call. And the two of us formed what we call the Iranian Peace and Friendship Society. We called it U.S. and Iranian, but half the people on this call are from Costa Rica. We mean the world. So Costa Rica would have their own, and that'd be what this delegation is called. So people who say, are you pro-government or anti-government? We're guests of the government. We're there with the government, understanding Iran to help the people of the countries be closer so that the aftermath, every war ends. And I think as the Women's International Peace and Freedom, we have something to say here because Robin and Nancy, we were founded during a war.
Yeah, right.
So to have a peace delegation of WILF people, and I hope the Congress makes it official in July, which will be before, is that going to happen, Nancy? Is the Congress going to approve the WILF Iran branch that's been set up?
You know, I really haven't been paying that much attention to that particular topic for the Congress. Frankly, I'm behind on that. I think what I think it might be interesting if we, as you say, Iranian films are so interesting and wonderful and very subtle and maybe not so subtle in presenting a cultural and political critique of Iranian politics that's quite fascinating. Of course, there's a wonderful museum in Tehran, the film museum, because French filmmaking began to influence Iranian filmmaking very early in the 20th century.
So, Nancy, I have a request of you. If I start an Iranian American film club for the purpose of friendship and discussion, would you help me promote it? And we just do it for fun. Watch beautiful
I'm
movies.
sending you some movies in the
Sure.
chat.
Yeah,
Some really
I've
good
watched them.
ones.
My husband and I love watching them.
I love Children of Heaven is my favorite. Oh, Children of Heaven.
I have Song of Sparrow, Washu, Through the Olive Trees. These
See,
are some of my
this is
favorites.
as important as sending people to Iran.
Right.
Because what we're doing is humanizing, because the whole propaganda against Iran is to dehumanize them. And it exists within our peace movement.
Well, I find that a rather amazing statement, but maybe that's the case. But
Well,
I find that quite perplexing, actually.
I'm perplexed too.
And I think there's I'd like to know more about that. But I do think we could put a list together of films and maybe have a film night, or at least people could watch them and have branch watching parties or something of that sort, you know.
Yes, it sounds fun. It sounds fun. And I'm on a board now of a group in LA called Interfaith Communities United for Justice and Peace. And that group sponsored 2 programs with Nuri and Allen about Iran. And those are available on tape. We can cut them down and use them. We have materials.
Wonderful.
So we have things we can work with. Since this group is all Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, I would like, Nancy and Robin, that you support the Wilf formation of an Iran branch. The opposition to it was that Wilf is a feminist group, which I do not understand how that is opposition to forming a Wilf branch in Iran. And if you understand it, maybe you can combat it. But I think I don't understand it.
I find it puzzling myself.
Thank you, Nancy. If you would you have great respect and experience, and your polite inquiry will help move forward. I'm trying to be as tactful as I can here. How am I doing? Your polite, clear advocate that having a Wilf branch in Iran would be.
Well, they accused us to be being paid by the Iranian government. And I know for a fact. There's another group, which is the Women Life Freedom, and although we agree with a lot of things they say, but they're throwing the baby out with the water, basically. They will overthrow people. They declared revolution September 16, 2004, and we completely disagree with that. I mean, there's 47 years of working and gaining experience towards the benefit of people. Free education, low-cost healthcare, low-cost housing. These are human rights, and they take care of their people. So what if they have to wear the scarf? We don't like it, but we push back the same way that we gave responses to the UN human rights report, and we sent it to the MP with our objections. You know, not confrontation, but objections and suggestions. So we want to have dialogue. We don't want to throw the baby out with the water. So these people, at least one of them, accused us to be working for the government of Iran. We were able to take the trip to Iran, and I know for a fact Nuri paid $25,000 out of pocket to make that trip happen. That time. She paid for me, she paid for Adelia out of her own pocket. So,
but who is saying, so is this International Wilf that's making this claim?
I believe there are a number of Iranian dissidents centered in New York, I think, that are basically rivaling our application.
Oh, uh-huh.
And somebody sent me email from this woman about my character and Nuri's character, and it was just not worth responding, basically.
Huh. Too bad. That's really too bad.
Yeah, I mean, this is gossip level.
And
Anyway.
it's important to say that it's true. Nuri has been a philanthropist in Iran for years. She has built schools for girls, middle
Yeah,
schools, which I think.
Can I show? I was trying to share. Can I show you some pictures?
So she is beloved by the Iran and the government. So yes, she is friendly to the government. She goes as a guest of the government. So that is true. And that's the simplest thing. There's no other way to go than as a guest of the government.
Well, for Iranians, you don't have to be a guest. You're
Oh,
Iranian.
right. I meant, yeah.
No matter what, you can.
Yeah. I just want to be very clear and truthful. Cooperating with the, yeah.
Can you see? This is the school Nuri built for Afghani children.
These are Afghan refugees in Iran,
Right,
often
right.
refugees from the U.S. war, our war.
Yeah, and they've had immigration problems because Iranian constitution does not provide for refugees. And we have 10 million of them. So these children were kind of unattended, all living illegally, not being educated. So Nuri paid for this one school in Tehran. Her brother paid for 8 schools centered in Shiraz for Iranians in villages, and her sister too. This is the bazaar of Tehran, northern Tehran. That too. I'm just going to go quickly through these pictures. These are the students that Adelia was talking about. They were in a museum. And here's a lady with shady hijab, another lady who did not want to talk to us, but because we went, there were parts of the day that were sanctioned by the government, and then we were on our own, going on the street, talking to people, but we had camera, and this lady was uncomfortable. This is the parliament. This is meeting with reporters in Sheraton Hotel where we stayed.
Yeah.
This is visit to Om. This is the parliament member I sent our video to. This is one of the universities. This is one of the schools that Nuri's brother created. This is Isfahan. This is Palace of Shah of Iran. We visited. This is the school that Nuri created, the Afghani school. This is from our visit to a university for women. And Nuri lectured there. Nuri and Alan lectured there.
Can you send this to us, a link of this to us, so we can send it to our branches and encourage people who might be willing to think of going there?
That's a wonderful idea, Robin. That is a wonderful idea.
Can I attach it to the share? I don't think so. No. I have to send it to McGregor. Maybe you can.
Send it to me and I will get it to her through email, which takes a little while, but we'll get it done.
Okay, I'm doing it right now.
Okay, I'll look for it.
You could just copy and paste it into a Word document, and then you've got something you can send around.
Yeah, it's a PDF file. I'm going to send you.
Well, you can convert that to a regular file.
The thing is, I can't attach it in this.
If you send it to me, I will promise to get it to them.
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Thank you for coming. I want to. I've scheduled this 3 days out of honor of how busy people are, because I know there's people from Veterans for Peace that want details about it, and not now, but we can go through details of how to apply for a visa if someone needs help. I'm going to be applying, and we could kind of do it together, maybe on a day, but we'll see if people are interested in. Do you know of people from other peace groups or just people you know that would want to know about this incipient trip, even if they have no intention of going? Because we're going to have art, movies, poetry, understanding before, during, and after. Because the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, we're building for after the war. Because how wars end, and all wars do end, is very important for the future of peace. And the more connections we build now, the less bitterness will be built up in the aftermath. I know I bored you with this.
I just sent you that file.
I just want to say, I feel that the Treaty of Versailles at the end of World War I helped set up World War II.
Oh, yes, yes,
And
yes.
after World War II was the foundation of Israel, which has led to war after war after war after war. So my dream is that the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, on this next delegate with the Congress behind them and endorsement, flags flying, will lead this delegation and take credit and get credit, and younger people will flock to us as the people who ended a war, went to a war, during a war. That's wealth. And if the Congress doesn't come around, we'll do it without them.
Yeah.
It's the opportunity, and it'll either be Wolf's opportunity or it'll be another group like World Beyond War or the Veterans for Peace or Code Pink or all of us.
Wonderful.
The Unitarians, the UN Association, the churches, the Methodists. Do you know any religious people you could invite? Do you know any journalists? Do you know a young person who's trying to make their career in journalism? This would make they would be the one. My biggest one.
Yes, and if you do have contact with people on these platforms, Tucker Carlson, Anna Keshwili, I don't know, the Young Turks, any of these people that you can help us, that would be great also. They do have a big audience, millions of people.
And this is not just kind of the people who go. Every person who goes will have a publicity person, a fundraiser. We're going to have a little team because we don't go alone. We go as part of a movement.
Right.
And that's what makes it. Otherwise, it's a waste of money to send and you have an experience. Come back and share it. Share it during, share it before. Build peace, a vision of peace, not just opposing one war after another. We're for peace and freedom.
So who do we tell people to contact? You, McGregor, or
well, right, I'm hoping there'll be a lot more people right now contacting me, but this same program will be offered tomorrow and Thursday at the same time. So if they want to answer questions, because people have a lot of questions, and if they say, should I go with a different peace delegation? That's fine. Let us know about it. We've not heard of another one being organized. Have you?
Well, I do know that I think Code Pink had a delegation that went maybe a year or two, or even before the time that I went,
like 5 years ago.
And Global Exchange here in Berkeley, California, was the one that organized the tour that we were on. That was very modest and inexpensive, and we traveled 2,500 miles up and down Iraq and went everywhere, and had only 6 people on the tour. It was really quite an amazing opportunity.
Nancy.
But I also think that there, if there were a lot of men like World Beyond War men or Veterans for Peace men to join with a group that had a lot of women, I think it's important to think through, how you then I suppose Alan hasn't had a problem with when he's been in groups with women. Is that right? Because he's connected to Nuri. I'm just wondering what the sort of gender, implications are.
I mean, the organizer is a man. Darius Sajadi is a
I
man.
see. Okay.
So it happens that our last trip
Yeah,
was
I
focused
see.
on
I
women.
see.
So, but this time could be, basically
Yeah, I see.
different
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah.
Peace and war is not focused on women.
Right.
It's
I
on
see.
peace.
Okay. Thank you.
But then it could be separate groups
Yeah.
doing separate things also. Yeah. It's
Right.
not
I
that
see.
rigid.
Okay.
If he,
And you're not being monitored. But you're going to see the sanctioned government events, obviously. But you're not forced into with a guard. You go and do your own thing or request. Actually, at the end, they asked me, what did you think? And I said, well, I wanted to see a lot of women without the hijab, but it wasn't organized. So we went out on the street and
Good.
talked
Good.
to them.
Good. Yeah. Good. But that was in 2024, did you say? That was in 2024, did you say? November
Yeah,
2024.
November,
Yeah. November just before the war.
a year and a half ago.
Nancy,
Yes.
are you still in touch with the other 5 people who went to Iran with you with Global Exchange?
We stayed in touch for about 6 months or so, and I met up with one of the people who lived in New York City and saw her there once.
I just thought if you let them know, they might have a daughter that dreams to go and recreate mom's experience. That
Okay, one question. Was that like a tourist tour or was it political?
Well, I would say
Because this
I
one
would
is
say it
political.
was, if you compare that to what you're describing, this tour might be, or what Nuri and Alan are doing, I would say it was sort of culture. It was a cultural, environmental cultural tour. We went to a lot of mosques. We went to a lot of sites, some archaeological sites. We went to museums. So it was that sort of tour, but we had a fabulous guide and a driver, and we were constantly asking questions and having conversations, and we on the last couple of days we said, no more rug stores, no more this, that, and the other thing. We want to go other places. And so we sort of flipped the agenda and went to the museum, the film museum. And then we went to a very interesting museum of a private individual who'd converted his house into a museum, art collection. But it was through seeing all the arts and culture that, of course, you learn a great deal about historical Iran. And
Well, this trip is
yeah,
political.
sure, I understand.
I mean, you're going to meet with
Sure,
government
I understand
officials.
that. Yeah.
And it's like half and half. There is sightseeing, there's going to the bazaar and eating
Sure.
good food. And you may have 4 meetings a day. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what they
No, I
did
understand
for
that.
us.
Yeah.
Some meetings didn't happen. Like Adelia wanted to go to women's prison. That didn't happen. I wanted to meet a couple of people who were like not on the, uh, I'm sorry, they were on the government shit list, kind of the critics of the government. So that didn't happen. But a lot of other things happened. Like the meeting with the female MPs was totally amazing. Yeah. The room was just shaking with energy. These women had so much energy, were so on top of their game. They meant business. Oh yeah, it was just amazing.
I can believe it. So, yeah. So,
well, I want to honor people's time, and we're coming to an end. And I have a sense that far more happened today than I dreamed of. Because I had this dream that we would go on to build film, poetry, miniatures, which I didn't know about. Things that before, during, and after the trip, we are building peace and friendship and understanding on all areas. And that about this trip, that what Ellie and I and Nuri are offering is a space, an opportunity for people to apply so they have a choice later in 2 months, because I have a feeling other peace delegations will start to come together. And we're just offering this as a service.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
another very productive thing is we're meeting with leaders of political activist groups. So each one of the ladies have 1,000 people under their wing that could pass the
Why
word.
should it happen now? Why should we have a delegation now or in 2 weeks?
Well, we're hoping every 3 months we could do
Okay,
this.
why? Well,
What
I
do you mean
mean,
why?
has something changed in the U.S. relationship with Iran that makes it more relevant to do
No.
now, or more possibilities of shifting things there?
It's just that we are getting system in place. So the first time when we went in November took a year. I mean, 2 wars happened, and then still Nuri wanted to go. But the idea was, and Sajadi was working on this, to send a delegation of 29 reporters, which I think I only heard of Max Blumenthal that went. So we think these are productive meetings, productive trips. And if we can facilitate, especially if I buy a house in Iran, then I can house the people
That's a
in
great
Tehran.
idea.
Make it easier. Yeah. Makes it easier and it will be productive and is beneficial for Iran and people of the US because the government has made up its mind. And there's nothing we can do. But people, the activists.
I would like to close on what Ellie just said. This is a people to people effort to increase friendship and understanding between with the people of Iran.
Didn't Eisenhower have that program? Remember?
Eisenhower's the one who had Mossadegh killed. So I don't think he's a good person to bring in.
Who was it? If it wasn't Eisenhower, it was, well, I'll look that up.
Okay.
But I also wanted to say that there was a Iranian women's organization that was started, I think, in the 1950s or 60s in Iran. I can find, I'll do a little more investigation of that. And
well, there are a lot of women's organizations.
But this was sort of a
Iran.
national women's organization, something like WILF, I think.
Yeah, I don't know about that. There's the Woman Life Freedom, which is 3 or 4 years ago, which was against the government. It was the secular movement of women. But beside that, there are a lot of sanctioned women's groups. I mean, these Hezbollahis, the people who believe, they're also people. And it's not like they're 5% of the population. No. My cousin, at 76 years old, every night she's going to the town square with her flag. This is like a huge bomb they're using. People on the streets, guarding the street. Like, if you bomb us, you're going to kill the people. Then you have to answer. Every night for the past 90 nights, 76-year-old with foot problem, she goes on the street. She's a person. She's a woman. You know?
And
It's not just me looking like this
Right.
that have a right to
right.
say. They have a right to say what they say. So they have groups.
What kind of a flag does she carry?
The Iranian flag.
Well, Iranian flag, Lebanese flag.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think it's past the hour. I think I have to go.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you,
Yes.
Nancy.
Okay,
Thank
good
you
to
very
see
much.
you all.
Thank
Thank
you
So
very
interesting
much.
to hear about this.
Yeah. Good. I hope it happens.
Great.
And Kelly?
Okay, I filmed this.
Okay.
I'll send you the film. And
I will see you tomorrow.
Okay.
I mean, not you, Nancy, but
No. I know. Yeah.
And we understand that this was short notice. That's why we're doing it 3 times.
Well, that's wonderful. Hope you get a good attendance for all of them.
Okay, thank you, Nancy.
So is it the same
same
time,
link.
same link?
Same time, same link. So
Wonderful.
you may share it with anyone you trust. So I'll see you later.
Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.